Sport, it's not just a game. It's in your DNA. Like us, you live and breathe every moment. You dissect, navigate, and analyze. At SpreadX, we bring you a world of betting where flexibility and precision are at your fingertips. With real-time analysis across all devices, wherever you are. Enjoy sports betting that's data-driven. Next level action. SpreadX. It's in our DNA.
And there's an opportunity here. Oh, how cool is that? How cool is that? From Chris Rigg.
Bellingham, 25 yards, lines it up and drills it into the back of the net.
Virtue, official partner of Sunderland AFC.
See if they can test Newcastle one more time here with Altidore. Stays down, that's ball! He shoots! Oh! What a hit!
It's not just a game, it's in your DNA. Like us, you live and breathe every moment. You dissect, navigate, and analyze. At SpreadX, we bring you a world of betting where flexibility and precision are at your fingertips. With real-time analysis across all devices, wherever you are. Enjoy sports betting that's data-driven, next-level action. SpreadX, it's in our DNA.
And there's an opportunity here. Oh, how cool is that? How cool is that? From Chris Rigg.
Bellingham, 25-yard lines it up and drills it into the back of the net.
Virtue, official partner of Sunderland AFC.
See if they can test Newcastle one more time here with Altidore. Stays down, that's ball! He shoots! Oh! What a hit!
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to SAFC Live. We're broadcasting around the world here from the sports bar, Quinn Sports Bar at the Stadium of Light. Of course, the lads are down at the Hawthorns for a 12:30 kickoff. Alongside me, as ever, is Danny Collins. Danny, another chance to get some back-to-back wins this afternoon for Sunderland.
Yeah, good morning. After last week, obviously coming off the back of the commentary one, it was important first up to get back to winning ways, bit of confidence back in the camp. I think we managed to do that. Obviously got over the line with a 1-0, a well-worked set piece. I think from here on in, with the 7 games left, it's about momentum and getting a bit of confidence and performances, really. And hopefully, as you say, going down to the Hawthorns this afternoon, be a tough one. Obviously, they're looking to push on and get into the playoffs, and that they can go 5th today if results go for them. Obviously, Coventry got a tough game against Burnley. But yeah, focusing on ourselves, it's getting lads minutes. Obviously, looking at the bench, which we'll get onto in a minute. Hjelde back in there, Lefay on the bench as well. So a couple of boys back out the treatment room. And obviously, it's an unchanged 11 for Regis this afternoon. So he was obviously pleased with certain factors of what he's seen last week against Millwall. Clean sheet, 3 points on the board, and just got to keep on building.
Let's give everyone the team news then around the world, wherever you're joining us here on SAFC Live, and even if you're behind us here at the Quinn Sports Bar as well. There's the lads warming up in some sunshine down in the West Midlands, down at the Hawthorns. And Danny, you can take us through the 11, which is unchanged.
Yeah, simple one for us, isn't it? As we say there, it's unchanged for Regis this afternoon. Alan Brown came in last week, done a decent job at right back, didn't he? And obviously Trey, therefore, moving across to that left-hand side, and it was Trey that was the difference with the decent strike on the volley from a well-worked set piece. And as we said, ahead of that, you know, maybe fans are looking at the bench, and I think a bit of discussion about, will Isidore stay in? Will Mayenda come back in? But no, he's kept it as it is. And as I say, you're looking at strength on the bench there, really, with Hjelde coming back in. From his point of view, he's unfortunate to miss out on the last couple where he perhaps would have got an opportunity from the start at left back. So, no, Trey it is that stays out on that left-hand side. But yeah, you're looking at Lefay coming back in, getting minutes. Obviously, you've got Tommy Watson there, Mayenda, Alexic, who will be looking to get some game time in the next few weeks as well. So, pretty well stacked on the bench, and a decent enough starting 11.
Yeah, it must be a boost to the squad and the coaching staff to see Enzo back on the bench. We know how much of a good player he is, and he could be a man of a match, couldn't he? At whatever time we see him.
Yeah, sort of a difference maker, really, isn't he? He's got that ability. We've seen that in the several games he played for us so far. Again, his injury come at the wrong time, with Romain coming back into it, coming out the treatment room to that left-hand side, and we're obviously looking and hoping that we get a bit of a run from him through the middle at the top end, at sort of Joe Chris Rigg position, but he picked up that injury. He's been out for a few weeks now, but try and ease him back in. I think obviously maybe looking at half an hour today. He has obviously come out and played for the 21s, built up his fitness back out on the training pitch with the boys, but just ease him back into it for me, and then build him up maybe in the next 2 weeks or so, and then try and get him back into that starting 11.
Let's reflect then on Sunderland's last game. Of course, it was last time out against Millwall at the Stadium of Light last weekend. If we can look through the highlights from that, we can discuss that 1-0 win. And it was such a brilliant goal, which gives Sunderland all 3 points. Arguably, should have been more, but we'll come on to that, I imagine. Great start, though, from Sunderland. Yeah,
it was a really good start. This is in the first 90 seconds of the game, isn't it? We've already had sort of 2 opportunities there. And recycle the ball back out to Trey. First time cross, back into the box. Chris Rigg on the move, gets across his man. Just can't get enough purchase on the header, so it was a bright start. Again, Patrick, a few minutes later here as well, coming in off that right-hand side.
He had a good game, Patrick, didn't
he? Yeah, he did. He was bright, wasn't he? And then just a little deflection there, wasn't it? The defender comes across. You see it from this angle now. And just the toe there. I think a few people thought the keeper had saved it, but it was a little deflection off the defender getting back at him. But yeah, that's what we're after at the Stadium of Light, a bright start. Getting the fans behind the boys early on, and here's the opening goal now, or the only goal of the game, wasn't it? Short corner. We've worked a bit of space for Romain to receive it here. Now he could have actually took a touch and turn, but they've worked on it, I think, through the week. Patrick, lovely weight on the cross to the far post. Trey's obviously free. I think with Trey there, he's perhaps 25-30 yards out, not looking interested in it. Then all of a sudden, we've worked it. He's free at the far post. Too late from Millwall's point of view. I think it's Coburn actually spots it at the far post, but can't get out there. And it's good contact on it, and it's a lovely finish from Trey. And then Millwall, to be fair, they played in patches. Actually had more possession, and they had 56% of the ball on the day. But from their point of view, it didn't really work Anthony Patterson enough with the possession that they did have. one or two half chances, and the one we'll get onto late on, which was probably a handball.
Yeah. Important though that they got a clean sheet as well, Anthony Patterson, and at home as well. Because it's been a while.
We've only had 2 in the last 10 games as well. Yeah, so as you say, that one, I think Luton was the only other one in the last 10. So yeah, obviously you're looking at from Burnley's point of view, they've set their stall out in clean sheets and obviously got them into that strong position they're in.
Enough in this one for a penalty?
No, we had a few shouts, didn't we? I think he puts his hands on him. I think it's Cooper, isn't it, that comes across. No, I think Wilson's looking for it. A little bit of contact goes down too easy for me. And he had a couple of those. I think during the game we had 3 or 4 penalty shouts, didn't we? Prior to the one that's actually given later on, which we'll obviously get onto. And it was a bit of a talking point.
Yeah, just watching some opportunities now for Millwall, of course managed by Alex Neil. And didn't really, increasingly as the game goes on, second half, Sunderland controlled the game, didn't they, as it went on? Yeah,
you could say it was a comfortable 1-0, yes, up until, as I say, that one late on, which we'll have a look at in a minute. But it'd be nice for us, we said it there, to put teams away early. If you go and get 2 or 3 goals, then you can relax, play your football, make a few substitutions as well. But we're always leaving teams in a game. We're never really putting teams to bed. I know Leeds have obviously slipped in recent weeks, but over the last couple of months they've been 2-3-0 up, and you can relax a little bit. And there's good opportunity there for Wilson. Lovely ball in from Chris. And if that one does go in, then you can relax a little bit. But as I say, they're then making changes. Top end of the pitch especially, looking to get back into the game, and there's always that carrot that you can go on and get a goal and snatch an equaliser.
Another penalty shout?
No, I don't think so. From Dan, I think there's not enough contact in that one for me. He goes down looking for it.
Job stepping onto that one?
Yeah, Job's had a few of these, hasn't he, when it's come to him there, trying to concentrate. It's on his weaker left foot, and just try to concentrate and get a good strike on it, but there's another block. I think there's a great chance for Coburn. Lovely ball in. We were right behind this on the gantry. Again, if he gets a little bit more on that and stays at either side of Anthony Patterson, then I think Millwall are back on level terms, aren't they? So they did have some, as we say there wasn't too many opportunities from either side clear cut, I wouldn't have said. But I think we did shade it, to be honest, and deserved the points, I would say, on the day.
We just saw that shot there from Trey. I mean, this is the penalty. We'll talk about this first. Romain Mundle winning it. I mean, it's
clear cut, isn't it? Yeah, Tanganga dives in. You can see good bit of skill from Romain there. Just chops him there and just chops back inside, and then he leaves the foot there, doesn't he? And it's clear penalty. Not too many Millwall players arguing with it. Tanganga gets up and he knows.
And then after a few minutes, it was Luke O'Nien who took the penalty. There was some thought into this, wasn't there? And you've actually mentioned this to people around the club as well. Luke, until that point, had a pretty good record.
Well, I think by all accounts he scored 6 out of 6, and in training he's been tucking them away, but it's different. It's a different atmosphere in the stadium. You've got 40,000 people in there. I think the goal gets a little bit smaller. Keeper goes the right way, and it's a good save. It's not a great penalty from Luke. He sort of stutters a little bit and sort of stabs at it. I've heard a few people say, well, just go and put your laces through it. But listen, a good penalty is a penalty that hits the back of the net. But unfortunately, from our point of view, we've missed 4 out of 5 this season. So then there's a little bit of pressure building now, and there's been a lot of chat, obviously, going into the playoffs. If it comes down to penalties, who's going to take the penalties? And if we get one today, who's going to step up and take it
Who would you elect to take the penalties today if we got one?
What do you want me to run down my list of? So the starters, I'd still go for Isidore. I know we missed 2 against Burnley. I thought he struck them pretty well that day. Ideally, I like your centre forward to take your penalties, because out of the players on the pitch, who is naturally in that position more often than not? Well, it's certainly not your centre backs or your full backs, but whoever's confident. And it didn't look good last week, I'll be honest, with Romain wanting to take it. I get what people are saying, but it should be sorted before you go out the changing room.
And apparently it was.
Well, there you go then. Yeah. So it wasn't good then. I don't like it. It happened with Chelsea a couple of seasons ago. It looks horrible. It doesn't look good for the fans. Sort it out. Right, who's your penalty taker? If Luke's the designated taker, Luke takes the ball and steps up. I get it. If Romain's confident, he wanted it, I get all that. But no, we've decided during the week, Luke's the penalty taker. He steps up and takes it. Now, if that changes again today, I'm sure it's sorted before they come out. Regis should take charge of it and say, listen, Wilson's taking the penalties. If Wilson comes off, or if he's took a knock, who's next in line? So sort it out. You don't want to see that on the edge of the box.
Looking back at those penalties against Burnley that night, they were decent penalties, but they were amazing saves. Actually, Trafford won Player of the Month, didn't he, on the back of that?
Yeah, keeper goes the right way. More often than not, he's going to save it unless it's lofted and it's up into the top corner, because keepers generally don't dive up to the top corner. He struck them fairly well. That's what people are saying, put your foot through it. Well, Wilson put his foot through it that night, and the keeper saved it. So it's a bit of a lottery, isn't it? And fans will say, well, it's a penalty, you should be scoring, but it's not as simple as that, is it? And as soon as, if you get into the playoffs, and if we're down at Wembley and there's 70,000 odd, 80,000 fans in there, that goal will feel like a five-a-side goal. I wasn't in that position often enough. I didn't take many penalties, so I'm not sure how it feels. So
let's see if we get a penalty this afternoon. What happens? We're all asking the same questions. We're going to go to an advert break now. Remember, you can get your streaming passes right now at SAFC.com if you're watching around the world, or in fact in the UK as well today. You can get those matchday streaming passes right now at SAFC.com. When we come back, we'll be speaking to club historian Rob Mason. Welcome back to SFC Live. We're here at Quinn Sports Bar at the Stadium of Light. The lads, of course, are down at the Hawthorns for a 12:30 kickoff. Let's have a look at the team news before we get into any discussions with our friend, club historian Rob Mason. Some of the lads there warming up in the sunshine. Danny will take us through the sides.
Yeah, as we said before the break, it's an easy one this afternoon for us. We're unchanged down at the Hawthorns, and Regis keeping it as it was. A couple of lads coming back into the squad this afternoon. We mentioned Hjelde and Lefay there. Could have maybe looked at bringing them in from the start, but they have been out for a couple of weeks, and decent enough performance last week from the boys with a clean sheet. Keeps it as it is at the back. As we mentioned, Alan Brown filling in at right back, Trey moving across that left-hand side, and then as it was ahead, that sort of front five really, isn't it, with Dan Neil just tucked in behind them.
Yeah, I think there was no great surprise that the team's unchanged. Why should they change it after last week? I think with the players that's coming back from injury, I would have been surprised if he brought them back in when he doesn't need to. They'll come off the bench this afternoon. I'm sure we'll see Lefebvre and maybe Helder at some point. And I think the person who's been pushing the hardest for a place in the team is Mayenda, and you think he might come in on the right instead of Roberts. But Roberts had such a good game last week. Why would you leave Roberts out? And I know there was possibly some talk that Mayenda could come in and replace Wilson Isidore. But Wilson Isidore, I think, is such a good player, offers you such pace, as does Mayenda, that it's a toss-up which one you take. Personally, if I was choosing a team, I would choose Isidore, and that's what he's gone for. But at least he's got options to come off the bench, particularly with Mayenda and Lefebvre from an attacking point of view.
Yeah, I mean, obviously looking at, they played the 4-4-2 last week, so you're thinking if he keeps it like that, we've got the extra man in the middle of the park. Again, I was thinking, maybe does he go with the two up top, because it's a bit of a rotation in the last sort of month or two with the two of them at the top end of the pitch. Obviously, Mayenda will feel a little bit hard done to that he's not getting a start.
Yeah.
You know, go back to Sheffield Wednesday where he got the couple that night to take the points for us. And then obviously Wilson having a couple of opportunities last week. The header being his big opportunity. A couple of frustrating shouts for penalties, which I didn't think were, to be honest with you. I think he went down a little bit easy looking for it. But yeah, I was thinking again, does he maybe go with the two of them? But he does obviously favour that 4-3-3, really, isn't it? With Chris Rigg pushing up there almost as the extra man.
Why change it? It's worked so well for much of the season. And look, I traditionally like to see teams play with two men up front. I like a 4-4-2. But in fairness, the last time he played 4-4-2, it didn't really work, did it? Whether Tony Mowbray keeps West Brom in a 4-4-2 this afternoon, well, we'll see once they kick off and see how they line up. At the moment, you'd think it probably would, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if, come the start of the game, we actually see that they've more or less matched up Sunderland. But it's what we do, never mind what they do. If we're going to go 4-3-3, that's our tried and tested formation of this season, well, let us go and try and dictate the style and shape and pace of the game.
Apart from Coventry away, maybe that 4-3.
Yeah. Well, Coventry away was. I mean, my counterpart at Coventry emailed me to say how disappointed he was in Sunderland, but he also said, without any shadow of a doubt, that was Coventry's best performance of the season. It was equally, in my opinion, easily Sunderland's poorest performance of the season. I thought Luke Anayan was decent at Coventry, but I thought every other player had a poor game. The only question was, to what extent did they have a poor game? It was a day, it was a bad day at the office. It's gone. Who cares? If we could end up playing Coventry in the playoffs, and if we do, Coventry might go into it a little bit overconfident. We might go into it with a point to prove. So don't fear Coventry. Don't fear anybody. We're a good team. Believe in yourselves. See how you get on this afternoon. See how you get on the rest of the season. Here we are. We're into April. Look, the top two have gone, but there's still everything to play for. And of the teams that are going to be in the playoffs, we're capable of beating anybody, whoever it is in the playoffs, including whoever misses out of the top three.
Yeah, I think obviously the carrot's there for them today, isn't it, to get fifth in the table. Coventry have got a tough fixture against Burnley. There's games going in and around them, Bristol City as well. There's other teams. Middlesbrough had a good result last night and a good performance. So there's about 4 or 5 clubs there competing really for 2 places, I would say, in there. So it's going to be tough, but I think it could suit us this afternoon in the fact that they've got to come out and try and play, and that could suit us. There's the table there. If you're having a quick look at it, as you mentioned there, obviously, if we're realistic and honest, the top 2 is perhaps gone, but we're still sort of having a look over our shoulder at those teams who are trying to fight it out to join us in the playoffs.
It's a really good point you make, Danny, because it's now the top 3 are chasing 2 positions, and one of them's going to miss out and be very, very downbeat going at the playoffs, but still with the confidence that they're clearly, in their opinion, they'll be at least the 3rd best side and will see themselves as favourites of the playoff. Sunderland are in this position where, barring an absolute disaster, we're going to qualify for the playoffs. Barring an absolute miracle, we're not going to get into the top 2. But just behind us, that's a really big and tight race for those last 2 positions. And West Bromwich Albion this afternoon. I saw some talk on West Bromwich Albion fan sites last night talking about it being their biggest game of the season. Games are running out. We're coming towards the final few hurdles as far as the 46-game season is concerned. And every point absolutely counts for those sides. Middlesbrough, as you say, good win at Blackburn last night. Coventry, though they beat us, I think they've lost 2 of their other last 3 games. So, after their really good run where they'd won something like 8 out of 9 before they played us. West Brom and Bristol City right in the thick of it. And then you've got that gap to Watford.
Yeah, they play each other today, Bristol City, Watford.
Indeed.
As well, don't they? So
but Watford, if they can come out on the right end of that, might think they're still in with a chance. but certainly that's a race that doesn't overly concern us at the moment, other than when we are playing a team such as West Bromwich Albion. We know how big a game it is for them, and we've got to be equally as up for it ourselves as they will be.
Let's have a quick look at the bottom of the division. Of course, there's a kick-off similar to ours today, which involves Luton and Leeds. Could you call that one, Danny, given Leeds' sticky form of late?
Yeah, they've let it slide, haven't they? Again, go back 2 months or so, myself and I think a lot of people thought that's Leeds done. They're going to run away with it, a massive goal difference, and all of a sudden they've been roped back in by those two sides just in below them. So they're having a little bit of a wobble again. They've been there before in that situation, haven't they, under Daniel Farkas? So all to play for at the top end, and then look how tight it is down there. I think Stoke had a good win last week. Look where that's taken them. I think QPR they beat, didn't they? So it's a bit of a scramble down the bottom. Big one for Luton, again coming down from the Premier League. I don't think too many thought they'd be in that position. I certainly didn't. I thought worst case mid-table, but they're scrapping for their lives. I think Plymouth have gone, if we're honest. So it's 2 from sort of 6 or 7 just above them.
Thanks, Danny. I suppose, Rob, we can't mention this fixture today without mentioning how delighted everyone in football, including Sunderland fans, were to see Tony Mowbray in the dugout.
Absolutely. Look, Tony will get an excellent reception from the Sunderland fans this afternoon, and so he should. When Tony was manager of Sunderland, he always conducted himself with immense dignity. He got the best out of the players he had. The crowd loved watching the football we played under Tony Mowbray. It was exciting, it was fast, it was successful. Tony did a really, really good job at Sunderland, and I think today and whenever he comes up against Sunderland in the future, he should be guaranteed a very warm reception from Sunderland supporters, and I'll be absolutely guarantee you that that's what he'll get this afternoon. Obviously, we hope that come the end of the day, he's on the wrong side of the result, but except when West Brom are playing Sunderland, I think whoever Tony Mowbray is in charge of, people will look at Tony Mowbray and think, go on, Tony, do well. You're a good bloke. You earned your spurs. When he came to Sunderland, he wasn't everybody's cup of tea when he walked through the door as a Middlesbrough legend, but he's now a Sunderland legend as well. And he did that by what he achieved himself in terms of the way he got the team to play, the way he handled himself.
No, I agree. I think obviously some of the football we played, I think a lot of the fans would agree in the room as well, and certainly from my point of view, playing for the club as well, some of the football we played under Tony was fantastic. Sort of, we'll have a go at you if we score. If you score 3, we're going to go and try and score 4. That type of football. I think we might sort of see that today. I think the interesting thing is as well when he was at Sunderland working with a young squad, whereas looking at this West Brom squad, one of the oldest squads in the league, some good experienced pros in there. Bartley at the back, obviously Mowatt's been around the block. Armstrong on loan's a good player, isn't he? Obviously from Southampton. So they're a decent outfit as well, and he's got them there or thereabouts. He's been there before. Was it 2008-9 season? I think taking them to the Premier League as well. So he knows the club well, and he'll be fighting away now, trying to get them back up again.
Yeah, absolutely. West Brom are a good side, experienced players, as you say. Some notable names in there. Adam Armstrong, of course, a Newcastle lad who they've got on loan from Southampton, has traditionally done very, very well in the Championship. But since he went to the Hawthorns in January, I think he's just scored the 1 goal. And of course, he'll be looking to kickstart his West Brom career with getting on a run of goals between now and the end of the season. He can be a real danger. He's due a goal. He's somebody who's very sharp in and around the penalty area, and I think we've got to be really on our guard against him this afternoon. He's a serious goal threat despite his current form.
Yeah, the ones as well, 3 changes as well for him this afternoon. Disappointing last time out against Norwich, 1-0 defeat. Josh Sargent on the score sheet for Norwich. And Darnell Furlong back from suspension. Good experienced pro at the back there, coming back in at right back. Dean Garner, I think we're going to come in on that right-hand side. And on the left-hand side, young Mikey Johnson as well on loan, isn't he? So, so some good talent in there. And if we're not at it like we were in at Coventry, it could be a long afternoon. Yeah,
and they come into this on the back of a late goal, which saw them get defeated away down at Carrow Road, where, of course, we're going on Tuesday evening as well, Danny. A late one, always a bit of a sucker punch. So they'll want to react from that, won't they?
Yeah, well, just look at their last 12 games, prime example. Won 4, drawn 4, lost 4. So that's sort of where they're at this minute, and it's trying to get a little bit of consistency from them, isn't it? And that's what it'll be for, as we said there, those 5 or 6 teams now. All the managers, they'll be in the meeting rooms. You put the teams up who you've got left to play. and they're looking now, where do we think, on paper, you know, I don't like the on paper one, but it's there. Who are we realistically looking at? Who are we going to win? You know, you might have a Burnley away, so you think best case we'll take a point there, and then you're looking at the sides, maybe bottom end of the table. That's where we've got to try and get these 3 points and try and get your total and your tally up. But there's going to be a lot of twists and turns between now and the end of the season.
If you remember earlier in the season when Sunderland had been doing really, really well and top of the table for a long time, we had what people thought was a bad run, and that bad run was 5 draws in a row. Yeah. Now, believe me, I've seen much worse runs in the past than 5 draws. But we did have 5 draws in a row that took the wind out of our sails a little bit. But West Brom, around about the same time, had a run where they had 10 draws out of 11 games, including the goalless draw they played here at the Stadium of Light. And that really is sort of held them back a little bit. I'm sure West Brom fans and West Brom coaching staff are looking back at that now and thinking, if only could have got over the line in 2 or 3 of those 10 games that they drew. But yes, they've lacked the consistency that Sunderland have had in picking up wins this season. They've had too many draws, and that's why the 10, 11, 12 points, whatever it is they are behind us, albeit just a place or 2 below us, and looking to solidify their chances in the playoffs if they can get a win today. They'll certainly want it. They'll be right up for the game this afternoon. Their crowd will be right up for it this afternoon. Well done to all the Sunderland supporters who are down there today, because to some extent you might say at the moment we've not got an awful lot to play for. We're pretty much nailed on to be 4th. But those Sunderland fans today will hopefully, I don't need to say hopefully, they will definitely get behind the team, and hopefully we'll be as up for it as we were last week, because coming off that Coventry game after the 12-day gap or whatever after Coventry, given the poor conditions and the very swirling and strong wind last week, I actually thought we played a lot of good football and reacted very well to that result at Coventry City in the previous match.
And Danny as well, apart from Coventry aside, generally the top 6 Sunderland seem to raise their game in these games, don't they?
Yeah, it's a strange one really, because I agree to that to some extent, but when you look at the point split between top half and bottom half, we've picked up almost double the points against the bottom half sides. But I know what fans sort of say, it's in terms of the bottom half teams, when we come up against them, it's perhaps a bit of respect in a way, certainly at the Stadium of Light, where they come and sit deep, and it can be frustrating to watch as well for the fans. You want to see a nice open game of football at the end of the day, but a lot of teams feel if they come up to the stadium and they're going to play an open game of football, they come off second best. So they're showing us respect in terms of that. But the likes of today, we've got Bristol City, who else we got in and around us? Got another team in and around us yesterday. So there's teams still to play around us, and they've got to come out and have a go, and they want to pick up 3 points to stay in those positions. And again, there's only 2 places up for grabs really between 6 or 7 sides, so they've got to be brave and have a go. Or on the flip side of that, they might be a little bit cautious and just think, we'll hold back, maybe we'll get an opportunity or 2 on the counter. We'll have to wait and see, but I don't think that's in Tony's nature really, is it? They're at home. They'll want to try and dominate the ball as much as they can, and they'll want to try and play some good open football.
Yeah, I heard a stat during the week as well that out of the 7 games West Brom have played against the top 4, they drew all of them.
Yeah,
so it could go full house.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, so, yeah, and that's the problem. But look at them; they've only conceded 35, 4th best defence. We've conceded 2 more goals. So it's at that end of the pitch where they're quite tough to break down. 10th in terms of goals scored. So maybe at the top end you could say they're lacking slightly in terms of where their position suggests. Josh Madger's obviously been out, top scorer with 12 goals, so they've missed him. But as we mentioned a few minutes ago, Adam Armstrong's not a bad one to get on loan, certainly at this level as well.
Okay, we'll leave things there, gentlemen. Rob, thanks as ever for being on the programme. If you want to get your matchday streaming passes around the world and inside the UK, you can do that right now at SAFC.com. We'll be back very soon for full commentary from down at the Hawthorns.
Sport, it's not just a game. It's in your DNA. Like us, you live and breathe every moment. You dissect, navigate, and analyze. At SpreadX, we bring you a world of betting, where flexibility and precision are at